Kakadosh Boker Tov, Shavua Tov. We're continuing on Daf Nun Amud Aleph 50a1. If you remember, we had an entire machloket, right, between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir. What is the shiur? What is the measurement that you have to come back to burn the tum'ah? Which means, if you remember, you had this kodesh, which you took it out of Yerushalayim. So we had a whole thing. Do you have to bring it back to burn it in front of by the Beit HaMikdash, or do you burn it in its place? So there was a machloket, was a kezait or a kabetza? And we started making a difference between with also the concept of Birkat HaMazon, was it a kezait or kabetza as well? So the top of the page just started by saying, Rabbi Yehuda holds chazarato ki-isuro, that you have to go back, right, and this is also going to be just like the isur of chametz on Pesach, right? What does that mean? Just like isuro is going to be with a kezait, so too the chazarato is going to be with a kezait, right? That means basically just like over there, it's brought down that you're chayavim doraita to say birkat hamazon me kezait according to Rabbi Meir, right, or kabetza according to Rabbi Yehuda. However, though here it's nothing to do with the pasuk or so on and so forth, or the logic, if you remember, whether a person becomes full with a kazait or not, but rather this is what he's saying to do with coming back with a kazait. Taina, we learned in the right that Rabbi Natan, Rabbi Natan says, Ze veze kishte betzim. It says whether it's to go back to do biur chametz or to do with kodshim that become pasul, it's always going to be two betzim. That means not one kazait, not a kabetza, two kabetzim. Okay, so this we didn't hear until now. Says the Gemara, velo hodulo chachamim, but the chachamim did not agree to it. That means nobody agreed to this. That means whether it was that, for example, I went to Honolulu, and now the question is, do I have to come back to do biur chametz? Or, for example, to do with the kodshim, that I took it outside of the Beit HaMikdash area of Yerushalayim, and now I have to come. Do I have to come back or not? He wanted to say that it's all to do with two kabetzim, and the rabbis did not agree to it. Okay, now that we just spoke about going out of Yerushalayim, the Gemara is going to bring a different gada of that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to add on to the borders of Yerushalayim during Yemot HaMashiach, which means that Yerushalayim is going to be extended. It's not the same Yerushalayim that we know of today. It's going to become bigger, right? So it says over here like this. Yeah, we're at the top of Nun Amud Aleph. Okay, we're 3 lines down. Okay, mamash at the top of the Gemara. Okay, Vaya bayom ahu lo yeh or yekarot v'kipaon. And it will be during that day that there will not be od yiraot v'kipaon. So now we have to understand, what does this refer to, right? Because here obviously or is light, something which is going to illuminate, right? Yekarot, right, is also, it says over here, it's like or hakale ve'olech, which stops, and the kipaon is or amum v'kehel, like a deepened light. They're all different types of light, but we're going to see what it means. So what does it mean? My yekarot v'kipaon. What does it mean yekarot v'kipaon? Amar Rabbi Elazar, says Rabbi Elazar, this is a light, which is the light of the sun, which is very important in this world, and it's very light in the next world. Light, sorry, mind the pun. Not light meaning that it illuminates. Light means that it's insignificant. Thank you very much. That's what it means by light, meaning it was kal, right? It wasn't, it was insignificant. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Rabbi Yochanan comes and he says it's another explanation. Elu negaim ve'aholot. These are different types of plagues. For example, when a person gets a nega, how do you call nega tzarat? Afflictions or all these things, right? Or ahalot, right? That it says over here, Masechet negaim ve'aholot, they're very, very difficult to learn because ahalot is obviously tumat met, meaning that a person's in an ohel, in a tent, and he's in the same building, and we're talking about a hospital or whatever it is, and that's why Kohanim are very difficult, for them to do all these things, right? Rabbi Yochanan says these are negaim ve'ahalot, she'ekarinhen, which are very difficult in this world to understand, but in the next world, it's very easy to understand them. So in this world, it's difficult. You're talking about tumat met, ohel, yes, not an ohel, yeah, that's difficult, right? That's ohalot. Or negaim, the negat sarat, what type of color, the deep, is the skin, the hair, all these alachot. But in the next world, it's very, very simple. Third explanation, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi Amar, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says, there are certain people that they're very, very, it says over here, rich and famous, exactly. Ashirim v'chashuvim, right? However, though, it could be they're rich and famous, but their actions are not good in the eyes of Hashem. Yeah, but kfuyin and le'olam haba, but they're going to be kfuyin in the olam haba. which means they're going to be very insignificant in the next world. Meaning, even though here they're big shots, right, as they say, in the next world it's olam ha'emet. Yeah, money doesn't buy you olam ha'emet. You understand? It has to be Torah u'masim tovim. Yeah? He had Rav Yosef ben Rav Yeshua ben Levi, right? It's just like the case that happened with Rav Yosef, the son of Rav Yeshua ben Levi. Chalash v'itnegid. Yeah, what happened was he got sick, right? And he basically here it just says chalav v'hitalef, which means he passed out. But really, be'emet, usually we call this clinical death. Yeah, and this is also Gemara Masechet Batra, this exact same Gemara.
It says he went into a coma.
Yeah, exactly, a coma. Yeah, so it says over here.
Rashi says he died. His soul left.
That's why I told you, the clinical death. Yeah, so the Gemara there in Masechet Batra says, Ki Hadar, when he came back, Amar le'avua, his father told him, my chazit, what did you see up there? Wow. Meaning when people, they pass away like this in a clinical death, they go up to Shemaim and then they come back down.
Very famous Gemara.
Yeah, very famous Gemara. So Amar le, he told them, Olam hafuch raiti. I saw an upside down world. Elyonim lemata, v'tachtonim lemala. I saw up there, up above, that the people that were elyonim in this world, in the next world are lemata. Meaning, even though in this world they were high up, and the next world they were down low. But the people that they were down low in this world, in the next world they were high up. Amar lo, he told them, Beni olam barur raita. What you saw was a clear world. Meaning that's exactly the way that's supposed to be. So what you saw was 100% accurate.
I would tell your Balabatim they should memorize 58 Pesachim so that when they can tell their children, when they see something that came to their guy, say, you know what? It's an upside down world. Pesachim 50A.
So how do you remember that though?
I don't know. They should just this is a very important yesod, and you remember you're throwing out gemaras all the time. You know where they are. So we too also like to learn.
Yeah, but you have to try to make yourself a mnemonic.
I don't know.
A siman to remember. How do you remember?
58. It's 50.
50. Huh?
The top part and the bottom part.
It's the top and the bottom. Okay, fine. So it says over here, Olam hafuch raiti. Yeah, or you could, you want to know a good one. What are the only letters in the Torah that are hafuchim? The only letters, the nun hafuchim in ba'alotecha. So therefore, since you have the nuns hafuchim in ba'alotecha, hafuch means the backwards nun. So the only letters in the Torah that are backwards is the letter nun, in the backwards nuns. So olam hafuch, an opposite world or backwards world. So remember, it's going to be Masechet Pesahim Daf nun. I just made you the
very interesting, very interesting.
Okay, I just made it for you, Richard. Yeah, you could pay me afterwards. Don't worry about it. Yeah, okay, very good. So says the Gemara, Va'anan hechi hatam. So Tamidei Chachamim, what are we going to be in the next world? Ki hechi deitu anan hacha, hach yatinan hatam. Just like we're chashuv in this world, we're also chashuv in the next world. That means Tamidei Chachamim, nothing happens. It's all the same. Just like in this world, so too in the next world. Veshamati shayu omerim. And I heard, that they were saying, Ashrei mi shebalekan v'talmudo biyado. Fortunate is a person that he comes, right, to this world. He comes here, and he has talmudo biyado.
Reviews his learning and remembers it.
So reviews his learning and remembers it. So if you remember, I always break down the Marsha on the Gemara Masechet Batra. Daf Yud Bet. What is the Marsha there saying? The Marsha says talmudo biyado. Talmudo biyado means you write it, because when you write it, you remember your learning. Anything that you write, you remember much more. And if you remember, I brought a proof to it. The what? You have to say it. So if you remember, I told you, yes. Why did I say this? Because I once had I don't remember if it was an English teacher, a history teacher. I don't remember what type of a teacher it was. It was a secular studies teacher. Huh? No, it wasn't French. French it was for sure not. Yeah, so it was a secular studies teacher that he went and he wrote down on the board and he said, I think it was 20% of everything that you see, you remember. Again, don't quote me on the numbers, but they're wrong. I'm giving you the examples. He said 25% of what you hear, you remember. 30% of what this, you remember. 50%. So then he says, now when you come and you take the senses and you combine them together, you remember more. So if I'm going to say something and I'm saying it out loud and therefore I could hear it, I'm not only just using my mouth to say it, to articulate it, I'm using my ears to listen to it. If I'm going to now see what I'm saying, which means I'm reading and now I'm reading and I'm seeing, I'm mentioning it, plus I could hear it. So I just did 3 of them. If I'm going to be also writing it, so I'm adding another one and continue going.
It's a good board.
Right?
I never heard it.
You never heard it before?
Never heard it.
So look it up on Google and try to find
I
it.
believe it.
Yeah, 100%. And there is now why. So what happened? It made an impression on me. I guess because he said it, I looked at it, and yeah, I guess it made an impression.
Right.
But then afterwards, when I saw this Maharsha, I said they're ganavim, they're thieves, because it comes from the Gemara. The Maharsha was more than 200 years ago. You understand? That means everything comes from the Gemara. You understand? It comes from here. So what did they take? They took it from here. Talmudo biado. You write it, and that's why the Gemara and the Rambam. That's to do with that. Whenever you have to actually come and learn, you should actually articulate your learning, and the entire house should be listening to the learning. And but now it makes sense. Because if you're just thinking about it in your mind, it's not the same thing. So now when you're learning and you're actually saying it out and you're listening to it and you're reading it, it's going to make much a big imprint. You're going to remember it. And so the same thing. So Hashem Mishabadakam, unfortunately, the person that comes to this world, the Talmudo, Biyado. You guys like the Chidush? Jean-Paul, doctor, you agree or not?
So far.
So far, Chazak Uruch, Binyamin. Yeah, Jean-Paul, you agree or don't agree? Alush, you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Simon, very good. Okay.
Por supuesto.
Okay. Obviously. Okay, fine. Very good. Thank you. Very good. So that's what it says here. So Shamati Shayu Omrim. And also he said that I heard that they said, Haruge Malchut en Adam Yachol La'amo be'mechitzatan. The people that are killed by the Malchut, by the government, nobody could come and stand in their mechitzah. Nobody could stand in their mechitzah. Maninu and who are Haruge Malchut. If you're going to tell me it's Rabbi Akiva and Chaverav, Mishum Haruge Malchut, it's only because they were Haruge Malchut. Remember that Rabbi Akiva and his friends were the 10 martyrs that were killed as an atonement for
Studying Torah.
No, but as an atonement for what?
Oh,
for the 10 brothers.
Yosef,
Exactly,
yeah.
for the 10 brothers. Yeah, Zirat HaKatuv. Yeah, the 2 law, and that's it. What these are Rabbi Akiva? He only has to be Haruge Malchut. You know who Rabbi Akiva was? So says the Gemara, Haruge Lod. These were the people of Haruge Lod, which means that when the Romans wanted to come and conquer Israel, they found the daughter of the princess, they found her killed. And they blamed the Jews. So they wanted to come and to kill out all the Jews, unless the Jews were going to give over the 2 people, the people that were involved in killing her. What did they do? These 2 brothers, they were tzaddikim, Lulianus and Papus. They came and they testified falsely that they were the killers. And therefore they were killed. Right? But really, man, they weren't killed. They didn't do anything. But they did it to save all of Am Yisrael. Right? Now, the truth is, though, that it probably wasn't even the Jews at all. Obviously, this was one of these frameworks or whatever it is that they framed them and so on and so forth. But the 2 brothers, they went and they saved all of Am Yisrael. So those type of people that they gave up their lives, mamash, haruge malchut, nobody could stand in their mechitzah. Nobody could be in their place in olam haba. Okay? Fine. So now the Gemara says, Bayom ha'u yeh al metzilot asus kodesh la'Hashem. What does that mean? On that day, there's going to be al metzilot asus. Right? How do you translate metzilot asus? Metzilot asus. That's what it says also. Okay, that's an easy translation. I thought it was going to give me a true translation, something with the horses, but I don't know what exactly. So it says, what are metzilot asus? Amar Rabbi Yishua ben Levi, Atid HaKadosh Baruch Hu leosif al Yerushalayim ad she'asus ratz umetzil. That means basically the amount of time that it takes for the sus to go until chetzi yom, yeah, when he has the tzel underneath him. Rabbi Yishua ben Levi says that the word metzilot comes from the word tzel, which is Hashem tzilecha liyad minecha. Hashem is your shade. Okay.
The amount the horse can run.
Rashi said that it's bells, metal bells, metzilots.
I didn't get there yet. Let me just see here. Right, it's going to be the whole sus b'mina bakar ad chatzot hayom. So I don't know. Here it says here, exactly, because if you're going to make Yerushalayim much bigger, so therefore you could eat kadashim kalim and maaser sheni in a much bigger area. If Yerushalayim, for example, is only a iratika, you're very limited. What can you already eat there? It's a very, very small area. But the bigger and bigger and bigger that you make Yerushalayim, right? The more that you extend it, the more area that you have that you're now able to eat, whether it's kadashim kalim which is not the holy of holy foods, kadashim, but rather kadashim kalim, right? Like a shlamim, a peace offering, and other things like that. The bechor, maaser, pesach, kadashim kalim, right? The pesach, also the korban pesach, or for example, maaser sheni. So that's why it was important. But where did you see that footnote? Because I don't have that footnote. I only have that's the next footnote, 23, the bilazar. No, but that's the next one, Kvodo.
Here we have it.
You have it on the first one.
Yeah, Bayama, yeah. Bayama, we have not 20.
So then you guys should get your art scrolls fixed, because I have it as the next one. Listen carefully. The first one says, Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi says that what is metzil? So here the word metzil comes from the word tzel. Tzel is shadow, right? That means basically in the first half of the yom until the half of the yom, the tzel is underneath it, meaning that the shadow that it's going to make is underneath it. Afterwards, obviously, with depending on the sun, the tzel, the shadow, the shade is going to be somewhere else. The next opinion, which is a Bilazar Amar, Kol metzilot shetolin lasus ben enav yeh kodesh Hashem. Any pa'amonim, here the word metzilot is pa'amonim, which is the bells. You understand? Anything where you're going to hang on the sus between his eyes is going to become kodesh Hashem. So it's like a kishut, it's like an adornment. So, but you guys still say that it was beforehand?
For me, it was on the verse 20, and Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi is 21.
So they switched the order. Okay, that means basically they put Rashi on 20, and then they put on 21. So for me, I don't have anything on the pasuk, because the pasuk really doesn't really explain anything. The pasuk just tells you the thing. No, you're right. It does bring it down in mind as well. That it's to do with after the Gogu Magog, after this, that it's you should be saved from Gogu Magog, then they're going to bring a whole bunch of sacrifices. And Rashi explains about okay, fine. But the truth is, though, that it all depends on the Gemara, meaning that first we have to understand and that's why there's two different explanations. Now there's going to be a third explanation. The third explanation now is Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Rabbi Yochanan comes and he says, he says as follows, Kol biza shebozezin Yisrael ad sha'a she'asus ratzu metzil yeh kodesh l'Hashem. Anything that they're going to come and they're going to win in the war of Gog Magog, meaning there's going to be a war of Gog Magog. Yeah? The third explanation of Rabbi Yochanan says, Kol biza shebozezin Yisrael, which means when you come and you take booty from the war, right? So there's going to be the war of Gog Magog. So any booty that you're going to take from the war of Gog Magog, ad sha'a she'asus ratzu metzil, which is until the half of the day. And again, here we're learning again, metzil is the nashon tzel, from shadow, from the shade. Yeh kodesh l'Hashem, which means that they have to bring it as a present to the Beit HaMikdash. Meaning, whatever they're able to gather for the first half of the day after the war of Gog Magog, all that booty, all that what you captured, goes to the Beit HaMikdash. Okay? So it comes out actually very interesting. The first opinion, which was of Yoshua ben Levi, and the last one, which was of Yochanan, they both learned the word mitzil as shade. It's only the middle opinion, which was of Elazar, that he learns it as a bell. Okay? Everyone's with me until here? Okay. So says the Gemara, Bishlama lamandamar. It's good according to the mandamar that he says, Kol biza shebazu Yisrael, that all the biza, all the booty that Bnei Yisrael are going to come and take, they have to give to the Beit HaMikdash. Hainu dichtiv. That's why it's written in the pasuk, which is the end of the pasuk. It's written over there, V'aya sirot bevet Hashem kamizrakim lifnei hamizbeach, which means that the nedavot, the presents, which they're going to come and take in the Beit HaMikdash,
they're going to have pots that you cook.
Right,
meat.
exactly. It's going to be silver and gold.
Just like when you sprinkle.
Exactly. Just like when you're doing the sprinkling, everything has to be with the same thing from the, right, the mizrakim. Ela, so then it makes sense, because that means they're going to come and they're going to give all these donations to the Beit HaMikdash. But he says, but according to the mandamar behanach tarte, that we're talking about the other two opinions that has nothing to do with giving over to the Beit HaMikdash, whether it's going to be that they're going to extend Yerushalayim, right? V'chule v'chule. So he comes and he says, so what does it mean then in the pasuk? Vayasiro b'vet Hashem, that the pots are going to be in the house of Hashem. What is the connection between that, right, and the first half? So says the Gemara, min tachrite kama. You're right. It's something completely different. What are we talking about? The mitatre Yisrael umitnadve umaite. That basically it's going to tell us that Bnei Yisrael, they're going to become very, very wealthy, and they're going to give from their wealth to the Beit HaMikdash, which means at the end of days, right, by Gog Magog, Bnei Yisrael are going to become filthy rich. Yeah, and therefore they're going to be so rich, they're just going to start giving over their different presents and everything to the Beit HaMikdash, and that's why it's going to be full of gold and silver. Okay? Fine. Bishma the Mandamar, it's good according to the Mandamar Biza, that it's talking about, again, there's a third opinion, Rabbi Yochanan, that it's talking about the Buri, that's what's written in the Pasuk, that there's not going to be any more a Kenani, which is a Socher, which means that the Nidavot, the presents, are going to be so big until the Gizbarei Hekdesh, they're not going to need Bichlal to start buying and selling of the Nichsei Hekdesh. Because they're going to have so much money, they don't need to do anything else with it. But according to the Mandamar, the other two opinions, right, that they're going to say about the, Yerushalayim becoming bigger. What does it mean? That we're not going to need him. Rabbi Yirmiyah says, no, Kenani is not the nation. Velo yeh Kenani is like an acronym. En kan ani. It sounds like Kenani, right? Like Kainara. What's Kainara? What's Kainara? Kainara means that there's no Ainara. Oh, no Ainara. Kainara. What's Kanai? No, it's Ken En. There's nothing here. Understand? There's no Ainara. You understand? Did you know that or not?
I drifted.
Richard.
I drifted. Guilty.
So how do we know that a Kenani is called a socher? It's called a tagar, right? Meaning a person that's buying and selling. So it says it says in the pasuk, Vayasham Yehuda bat ish Kenani. He saw a daughter of a Kenani. My Kenani. What does it mean Kenani there? If you're going to tell me Ilema Kenani, this is talking about when Yehuda got married to Batshua, and Batshua was ish Kenani. She was the mother of Er, Onan, and Shelah. Now remember, the Melech HaMashiach is coming from them. So obviously, if you're going to tell me Mamash Kenani, it doesn't make sense. Kenani, if you're going to tell me Kenani Mamash, Efshar Avraham v'ziret Yitzchak v'Yitzchak v'ziret Yaakov v'Yehuda Azal v'Nasiv. He says, I don't understand you. Avraham Avinu warns his son, and he warns Eliezer, don't get for Yitzchak a Kenani. Yitzchak warns Yaakov, don't get a Kenani. And now Yehuda, the son of Yaakov, is going to marry a Kenani. Doesn't make sense. Elamar Rabbi Shimon Lakish, but rather Rabbi Shimon Lakish says, Bat Gavra Tagra. But ish Kenani means bat ish socher, that he's a socher. Kenani means that he's a person that buys and sells, not that mamash is a Kenani. Tichtiv, as it says in the pasuk, Kenan biyado mozne minma. That Kenan has in his hands mozne minma, weights of falsehood, which means that he wants to try to trick you with his weights. So that's a Kenan, is a person that's buying and selling. If you remember, we were Doresh's pasuk on Eliezer Eved Avraham, and then we went and we said that he became blessed afterwards. Because when it says this, it was talking about Eliezer Eved Avraham, that he wanted to sell his daughter to Yitzchak, and at the end, he became blessed instead of cursed when he actually didn't do that. If you could answer another answer, from here, that then you could show that it's a person that's a buyer and a seller. Because it says in Pasuk, Asher Socharea Sarim Kinaanea Nichbede Eretz, which means the Socharea, which again, the people that are buying and selling, they're Sarim Kinaanea Nichbede Eretz, just like the Naanea. Okay, now the Gemara is going to bring another Pasuk. He says what? Nowadays the name of Hashem is not one. Why do we say that it's going to become one day? When? On that day. Nowadays it's not Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad. But says the Gemara, this world is not like the next world. This world. On this world we come and we say the Berachat Tov Metiv. And on bad news we come and we say Baruch Dayan Emet. The next world, Kulo Tova Metiv. Everything is going to be for the best.
It's another good
one to know, no? Yeah, that's another important one. Okay. So the Gemara is now going to say, what does mean Shmo Echad? Ma Echad, what does mean Echad? Atu Aina Lav Shmo Echadu. He's going to say, by the way, you should know, you could remember the same thing, because when it says Olam Hafuch, right, it's the opposite world. So the same thing. And it's just like bad news really be'emet in the next world. It becomes good news. Yeah. So it's on the same thing. About 50, just remember the backwards noons, the backwards. Yeah, backward noons. So that's how you remember. It's the same thing, same Gemara. Okay? Ushmo Echad, what does it mean Ushmo Echad? The name of Hashem is one. Ma Echad. Atu, right now it's not Echad. Right? Nichtav, in this world, Nichtav be'yud K, and it's Nikra be'alef Daled, which means in this world it's written Yud K Vav K, but we don't say Yeho. You understand? And then afterwards, we're going to say the Va, right? Even though there's a group of Jeho, that's a group. We don't say it. We read it. We write it one way and we read it another way. But in the next world, Kulo Echad, it's all going to be the same thing. Nikra Yud K ve'Nichtav Yud K. It's going to be written and read like the way that it is, like that. Okay. Sava Rava Lamidra Shabipirka. So Rava came and he wanted to be Doresh this in the Tzibur to do with the name of Hashem. Amalia Usaba, this elder came and he told them. Remember that many times when it says Usaba, some people say Usaba is always Eliyahu Navi. It's Sfatan and Tosfot and Chulin. Okay? But some people say, no, it all depends. So he said, one second, Amale Usaba, the Usaba came and he told him, well, but it's written le'alam, right? What does that mean? We just said in this week's parasha, so it's connected to this week's parasha yesterday, we just read, Ze shemi le'olam ve'ze zichri le'dor dor. What does that mean?
Enyana de Yoma.
Exactly, Nana de Yoma. Yeah, it's connected. Yeah, so right, so he says, Ze shemi le'olam ve'ze zichri le'dor dor. Yeah, what does that mean? That we have to remember that this is my name, le'alam. That means even though we read it le'olam, forever, it's written le'alam. What does it mean, le'alam? So it says over here that since we're reading it, right, without the vav, which is le'alem, it means you have to be ma'alim the name of Hashem. Meaning, don't be mefarsem the name of Hashem. Don't publicize the name of Hashem. You have to make it hidden, right? Remember the word lo titalem, right, means do not go in hiding, right? That you're, for example, lo yuchal italem, you're not allowed to hide your eyes from a lost object of your brother, right? Or when the shore is how do you call it? When your friend's ox or things like that is, they're falling or things like that, you're not allowed to litalem. You're not allowed to close your eyes from it. So litalem also, even in modern Hebrew, they say litalem is basically when a person is going to come and they're going to hide themselves from something. Okay, that means don't close your eyes from it. Okay, Rabbi Avina came and he wanted to ask a contradiction. Ketiv, it's written, Ze shemi le'olam, right? And then immediately afterwards it's written, Ze zichri le'dor. So what's going on? Is this my name or not my name? Right? There's one place you're saying Ze shemi le'olam, and then there's Ze zichri. Right? So he says, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Lo kasher niktav ani nikra, niktav ani b'yod kei, v'nikra be'alef dalet. So it's not the same in the bowls. Okay, Adan halach, elu barin.
Mishnah.
Okay. Okay, next. This is the Mishnah of the 4th chapter. Okay? Mishnah of the 4th chapter. Makom shenagu la'asot melacha be'arvei Pesachim. Yeah, a place where they have a minhag to do melacha on Erev Pesach ad chatzot until chatzot. Osin, they're allowed to do it. Makom shenagu shelo la'asot. If they have a minhag not to do melacha until chatzot, and osin, you don't do work. If you go from a place where they do work to a place that they don't do work, or the opposite, you always go to which means it's always a sur. That means if I was going, let's say I come from Miami. Miami, it's always a sur to work. You understand? Miami is right? You're never allowed to work. Miami is always, you're always off.
You tell them what they're talking about is that, like Erev Shabbos, they say you won't benefit from the work you do Erev Shabbos. Here, it's a complete isser.
Exactly. That means usually it's enoroy simam bracha. Enoroy simam bracha means you don't see a bracha in it.
Here, it's a
so that's from the mincha u'mala. There's a machloket whether mincha u'mala means from mincha gedola or mincha ketana. Maran goes mincha ketana. Yesh v'yesh ki yesh batra. Yeah. So, however, though, right, which means mincha ketana, right, the second mincha, yeah. However, though, here, what happens if there was a minhag that they would work? So he says, remember, after chatzot, it's a sur to work on it, right? That's going to everybody. Only question is in the morning until chatzot. So, if you went from a place that they had a chumrah not to work, so obviously, even though you went to a place where they do work, you're not allowed to work. But the other way around, also the same thing. Let's say I'm in a place where we do work. Yeah, we come from Canada. Or from New York, they have to work, 24/7. New York, you have to work 24/7, right? And all of a sudden you come to Miami. Miami is, it's a chufsha, it's you're on vacation 24/7, right? So therefore, what? No, they give you the chumrah where you came from also. Okay, says Nuna Mubet 50b. Ve'al yeshaneh adam mipnei machloket. Do not change the minhag because of the machloket. What does that mean? The Gemara is going to explain this. Basically, don't make machlokot. Because the same halacha applies. If you're going to transport fruits of shvi'it, of shemitah, right? That from the sadeh that they already has, right? The chovav, the biur, which means you have to take it out. Yeah, that means basically it says here that the perot of shvi'it are permitted for achilat adamu be'emah, right? However, though, Chachamim come and say it says that's only if the chaya is ochele basadeh. Right, he says if there's nothing else in the sadeh, right, so then you have to take it out of your house. That means you're not. Means as long as you have in your field, so you're still allowed to leave it in your house. That way you could eat from it, or your animals could eat from it. But the second there's nothing left in the field, you have to take out from your house. Yeah, that's called the bishat biur. Mimakom shelo kalu, right? Mimakom shekalu chayav levaer. right? Rabbi Yehuda says, "Sev avelecha afata." What does that mean? The Gemara is going to explain. What does that mean? Well, you should go out and bring it yourself also. What does that mean? Right? So we're going to say it in the Gemara. Fine. Says the Gemara. My idiyar Pesachim. What are we talking about? Dafka Pesachim erev Pesach. What? It's only a halakha on erev Pesach. Even on erev Shabbat or erev Yom Tov, it's the same halakha. The time was we learned to the Braita. Halsem melacha b'erev Shabbat Yom Tovim. Mina mincha lomara. And order simam melacha olam. If you're going to do melacha on erev Shabbat or erev Yom Tov from mincha onwards, you're never going to see a simam melacha olam. So says the Gemara. Hata mina mincha lomala u deasur samucha mincha lo. There, I don't understand why he's saying it this way, right? Because I was going to say like the second answer, right? But basically, the first answer is over there. We said from mina mincha lumala. Mina mincha lumala is after chatzot. Here it's chatzot. There's a big difference, right? Even if you're going to tell me it's mincha gdola, it's another extra half an hour. But if it's mincha ktana, we're talking about we're talking about from 6 hours, which is chatzot, until 9.5. Yeah, it's another 3.5 hours. Yeah, you understand? Correct or not? Yeah, it's a big difference. You're going to tell me right now, chatzot. Take chatzot.
You got it, Rabbi. It's not difficult.
Oh, okay. No, I just want to make sure you have it. From 12:30, even if you're going to tell me mincha gdola is 105, or you're talking about mincha ktana, which is 350. There's a huge difference between 12:30 and 350. San Iowa, a huge difference. Yeah, so he says, inami, another answer. Hatam simam bracha udelochaz. There, he just doesn't see simam bracha. But we're not going to put you in cherem. Meaning, if somebody's going to work after mincha, yeah, they're going to come at 5 o'clock in the hour, 4:50, and they're going to start working from 4:50 to 5:15. You're going to put them in cherem? No, it just says you don't see simam bracha. But over here on erev Pesach, we put them in cherem. Excommunication. Boom. Yeah, that's much more powerful. So Gufa, we said in the Braita, or any place that there's going to be nidun avera. Yeah. So it says over here, latuye, this comes to include the Tanit Tzibur. En or roes simam bracha. Also, he's not going to see simam bracha. Okay, 1 second. Amen. So it says over here that if somebody's going to do melacha on erev Shabbat, erev Yom Tov, mincha l'mala, motzei Shabbat, motzei Yom Tov, motzei Yom Kippurim, in any place where there's a ninud avera, any type of avera, latuye, that includes Tanit Tzibur. Here we're talking about a Tanit Tzibur of Atzira Geshamim, that there was no rain. En or roes simam bracha leolam. Okay, so that means it's not only just on erev Shabbat and Yom Tov; it's also motzei Shabbat, motzei Yom Tov. Interesting, why motzei Shabbat, motzei Yom Tov? All these things, maybe because they were doing it too close to. It says over here. Fine, I'm not sure. We would have to see. Okay, so then it says over here, yeah. Oh, Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita. Yesh zariz v'niskar, yesh zariz v'nifsad. Sometimes you can be very, very quick and you gain, and sometimes you can be very, very quick but you lose. Yesh shapal v'niskar. Sometimes, yesh shafel v'niskar. Sometimes there's somebody that's shafel, that is very, very mitatzel. That means he's lazy and he gains, and sometimes the person is lazy and he loses. Zariz v'niskar. What does it mean zariz v'niskar? That he's working. Zariz v'niskar means that you're working the entire Shabbat, and all of a sudden on the Shabbat you don't work. Zariz v'nisad. But if you're going to be very Davi kule Shabbat, Shabbat. If you work during the week, but you also worked on Erev Shabbat, you're going to lose out. Shafel v'niskar. If you're going to be lazy and you actually gain, you didn't do the entire week, but you didn't do on Erev Shabbat as well. Shafel v'nisad. But if you're lazy and you lose out, that you didn't work on the entire week, and all of a sudden you work on Erev Shabbat. So that's a person that is lazy and he loses out. Okay. So Amar Rava says, Hani nashe de mechuza. These women of the city of Mechuza, Afal gav dehai delav dan avita b'maleh Shabbata, even though that they don't do melacha on erev Shabbata, mishum mefankutahu, it's because they are mefunakim. It's a pinuk, but not because it's called Shabbat. Meaning they're not doing it because mamash they want to be mechabed Shabbat. They're just doing it because they're
every day is Shabbos.
Yeah, it's like the kol yom and ami lukavdim. They don't work any day anyway. It's still called shafel v'niskar. It's still called the person that's lazy and he's gaining from it. So says the Gemara, Rava came and he wants you ask a contradiction. It's written ki gadol al shamayim chastecha, uchtiv ki gadol me'al shamayim chastecha. What does that mean? It says ki gadol ad shamayim chastecha, and then another pasuk says ki gadol me'al shamayim chastecha. Meaning, is HaKadosh Baruch Hu above? Meaning, is it the chesed above, or is it exactly until there? How do you work them both out? So kan be'osin lishma is someone else you do it lishma. Kan be'osin shlo lishma. The other one you're not doing it lishma, right? So therefore it's until the shemaim, but not me'al shemaim. Meaning when does it go above and beyond? That's only when you do it 100% for the name of the sake of Hashem. Just like Rav Yehuda Marav says. The Amar Rav Yehuda Marav said, a person should come and always learn Torah mitzvot lo lishma. But even though it's lo lishma, it will come to become lishma. Okay, Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita. Hantzapeh leschar ishto v'rechaim en ureh siman beracha leolam.
Another biggie.
Yeah, what does this mean? Schar ishto. It says here matkulta, moznaim, which means that he wants to be mitparnes by his wife going around, right? In order to, he won't get siman beracha. Why? Because his wife is becoming disgraced for a small amount. So if somebody is going to come and he's going to get the money because of his wife, and his wife has to become disgraced because of that, he never sees a siman beracha. Rechaya, what is the schar of the rechaim? Agarta. Yeah, what does it mean agarta now? Right? That you want to rent out a mill. So you're not going to send it. Why? Because you have to work a lot and you don't get a lot of reward. Aval avda mizabna, but right when a woman makes things and she sells it and she's not she's not doing it to other people. So yishtabuche mishtabach bakras. So then it's actually very, very good. Because it says in the pasuk, Eshet chayil sadina setavet imkor. The woman, she's making sadinim and she's selling it. So if women are going to do things and they sell it, whether we're talking about, so then it's okay. But she's going to rent out things and she has to go around, and that's not good. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in a Braita. Hamistaker bekanim. If somebody's going to be mistaker, how's he going to get his panasa? By selling, small things. Whether it is like they're small reeds, right? Of kankanim or kankanim, right? Or the kankanim, yeah. Right, or the kankanim, which are like small jugs, and roeh siman beracha leolam. They will not see siman beracha. Yeah, they do not see a siman beracha at all. My tama, what's the reasoning? Kevin the nafish of chazaihu shalta behu eina. He says since the volume is so big, there's a lot of ainara. So since there's a lot of ainara, right, that's why they're not going to be a siman beracha. This is also a big one. Yeah, you're listening. When there's a lot of ainara, there's no siman beracha. Yeah, that means no ainara. Ainara kills beracha. Remember that. Yeah? Very, very important. That's why a lot of people, they like to show off. But they don't realize that the more they show off their wealth, they're actually they're like shooting themselves in the foot. They don't realize it. You understand? You have beracha, hide it. Don't start showing it off. You understand? Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in a Braita. Tagere simta. We're talking about people that are buying and selling in the shuk. Right? So it says, and everyone could see it. Magadle be'ema daka, or they're growing be'ema daka, which is basically the kvasim v'izim, sheep and things like that. Kotil or notovot, or they're selling good trees. And they're makpidin that you should always see good things. And when you say ma'itama again, tetau be'inshe. These people are always surprised about them. Yeah, which means that people are looking at it to do with the ainara and everything. Again, all these things are ainara. When there's an ainara, no siman beracha. Yeah, very, very important. Okay, Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita. Arba prutot, which means 4 ksafim. 4 types of money, I guess it is here. Eno roeh siman beracha leolam. Schar kotvim, the sofrim of kitvei HaKodesh. That means they write tefillin, mezuzot, sifrei Torah. They never see siman beracha. Schar meturgamin, the ones which they are the meturgaman, the translators. Right, the ones that are coming, they're translators. Right, the Rashab Rabim, schar yitomim. Somebody that's making money off of yitomim, right? So that means he's making money and then he's taking part of the salary. Or money which is coming through Medinat Hayam. So says the Gemara like this. I understand the Mexican is Shabbat. It looks like it's Shabbat. Imagine right now I'm coming on Shabbat, and that's when they usually give the Rashot. You understand? So I'm giving the Rashot on Shabbat. Usually during the week, people are busy. Right? They're working, this and that. So on Shabbat, everyone has time. You understand? So what happens? So all of a sudden, I'm giving a drasha on Shabbat, and I need a meturgiman, I need a translator. Because remember, I could be a guy that I speak Chinese. As long as I have a good translator, that's it. That's the most important. So the guy's coming, and so it looks like Schar Shabbat. He's getting paid on Shabbat. I understand.
Tell them that's why they swallow it, where they have work outside the week too. They swallow the Shabbat.
Right, Havla. Okay, that's true. Umaot yitomim nami. Also maot yitomim also labanim yichilanu, because they cannot forgive. Meaning an orphan cannot forgive. You're going to start making money off the orphan's money. What are you doing? Right? Also, money that comes from Dinat Hayam, Mishum Delav Kol Yom Imtachashnisha. Well, there's no nest that's going to happen every single day. Meaning, sometimes it could happen that the ship is going to sink. Therefore, it's not right pirates or whatever it is, and then it's not the so the money that's coming from Dinat Hayam not always will have a miracle. But why people that they write Sifrei Torah Tfilim Zot Miskenim? Why are they not going to see Siman Bracha? So Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, 24 taniyot Yeshua and Shekhet Tzedakah Kotvet Sfarim Shelo Yitashru. Right, there were 24 fasts that they went and they sat down in order that they should not become rich. The people that they're writing Sifrei Torah Tfilim Zot. Why? Shilmalem Itashim, because if they would become rich, they would never write. Right? Trust me that a lot of women, they don't know this, because if they would know this, they wouldn't get married to their husbands if they're a sofer. Yeah? Imagine you knew this. Yeah? A woman wouldn't want to get married to a sofer. She already knows that the husband's going to become poor, huh?
It allows them to make a living, not to become rich.
You're right, but a lot of women, they want to see the mullah. They want to see the green. You understand? They like the green. They don't like you're going to tell them that they have a haftacha. It's a mamash that they're not going to become rich. A lot of women, huh?
Making fast, not to become rich.
Exactly. They had to make a fast. Exactly. They had to make a fast that they should not become rich. That's a powerful statement. You know what that is? It's
So like a dual something to do.
No, here it's mashma that they'll never become rich, even if they have another type of a work. That's what it's mashma.
The sages did not have in mind scribes who just hire themselves out for individuals, since their income is limited in the first place. It's Tosfos.
Okay. No, I would say anyway.
The wholesale people,
that they're selling Sifrei Torah. No, I would say also if you're renting yourself out, it's lav davka. Like, for example, you come and you rent yourself out to write for certain people. That's something else. But here we're talking about mamash. You're writing Sifrei Torah, Tfilim, Zot. Fine. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita. Kotvet Tfilim, Zot. Hen v'taglim v'taglim. B'chol oskim lechat shamayim la'ituye mochret tchelet. Even people that are selling tchelet, en lo siman b'racha la'olam. They will never see siman b'racha la'olam because of the same thing. Because once they become rich, that's it. They're not going to work anymore. But if they do are mosek lishma, roin. So here you do have a yotze min haklal. The exception to the rule is that they could become rich. When they do a lishma. Meaning if they're doing a lishma, they could become rich. They're not part of the klala.
The whole idea of,
again, we're all supposed to do a lot of things lishma.
But regarding these things,
mikveh, by the way, you should know mikveh is not lishma. Mikveh is one of the hidurim. If you're going to sell something, think about it this way, Eli. I'm going to sell this book. I could sell this book without a cover or with a cover. If I sell with a cover, I sell it for $5 more. Don't you think it's worth it for me to put a cover? Even if it's more work, or even if it's going to cost me another $2? Because but for the extra $2, I made another $3. Without that, I didn't make it. So obviously, I'm going to do it. So the same thing. If I'm going to do hidurim, whether it is of going to the mikveh or all these things, 100%. But at the end of the day, it's making my value, instead of going here, it's going here. Obviously, I'm going to do it. That doesn't mean that it's automatically lishma. So it has it, but here we're talking about mamash. It's 100% lishma. If it's going to be 100% lishma, you have it. You have the beracha. Okay. So bnei vaishan. What does it mean bnei vaishan? It's a certain place. Nahug dulav ve'azli mitzul litzidon b'maleh Shabbata. They had a minhag that they wouldn't travel from tzul litzidon on Erev Shabbat. Right? Atu b'nayu kamed Rabbi Yochanan. So the children came from Rabbi Yochanan. They told them avaton efshar lehu. Right? Our fathers, they could stop going to the shuk because they were very rich. But we can't. We need to go to the shuk. We need money. So we have to go. Amar lehu, Rabbi Yochanan answered, your parents already accepted it upon themselves. Right? You can't abandon their minhag. That's it. You can't do it. So they had a minhag in Bnei Chozai that used to do afrashat chala even from isat ores, from mamash, from rice even. Now, even though remember that usually afrashat chala is only on the 5 grains. Here they were doing it even on rice. So Atu Rav Yosef, they told Rav Yosef, Amar lehu, Rav Yosef told them, Nichle zar b'payu. A zar, which is somebody that's not a kohen, should eat this chala in front of them because there's no problem whatsoever. Meaning usually afrashat chala could only be eaten by a kohen. Here they would tell them, go eat it in front of the kohen. Eat it. Why? To show them that it's nothing.
Sounds like you're adding. You can't do that. To add like this.
So Abaye says 1 second, but why? This is something which is permitted, minadin, and other people are noheg by nisur. The other people are noheg by nisur. Says Nun Aleph Amud Aleph on the top. You're not allowed to permit it in front of them. So what are you doing? So he told them, we're talking about kutim. They weren't sherim that they did this, they were kutim. So kutim, these people, they start doing whatever they want. Forget about it. You can do whatever you want. No problem. Okay? Okay.
What's the difference between rice and jitniot?
Have a wonderful day.